So last class we discussed, right? So what is quad? What are the main components? And also last, can you see my screen, Sudhir?
Yes, sir.
So last class we had discussed, right? So how to set up. So last class we discussed how to set up, how to set up, how to set up. Right? So Docker desktop and all. So how to set up Docker desktop and how to install kubectl and how to install AWS CLI. So anyone any doubt yesterday setup and all. So first you need to install the Docker desktop, Docker desktop, Docker desktop software and what is next one? We need to install kube CTL and the third one is AWS CLI. AWS CLI. We install these all are one line only, and this is the first. We need to install so Docker desktop. So once that is done, next how to start. Just click on the Docker desktop and every time go to settings and go to Kubernetes. Just here first time if you open means it won't start. Just start the if you open this automatically it will start the Kubernetes engine. See here enable Kubernetes.
Yes, sir.
So start Kubernetes single node cluster when starting the Docker desktop. So every time so we have to wait. So Docker this is a Kubernetes enable or not. Once that is done minimize it. So once that is done, now what you need to do? So now what you need to do? So go to command prompt. Go to CMD. Go to command prompt and go to command prompt and directly we can work with. So directly we can work with your cluster. No need to do anything. So no need to do anything. This is my cluster. If you want to see how to check, so kubectl get node. How many nodes we have? See here Docker desktop. This is the control panel. My master. This is acting like mini cube, right? So both are same only. Okay. And so let me delete all. So kubectl, kubectl delete. If you want to delete all AWS resources, if you want to delete existing all AWS resources, what is the command, guys? Kubectl delete all hyphen all. Now got it? See here, now deleted all Kubernetes resources. Now I want to see Kubernetes resource. Which resource you want to see? I want to see pods. So this is the command kubectl get resource name. Which resource information you want to get, guys? I want to see pod information. I want to see how many pods. Now got it. See here, there is no resource found in default namespace. Now see here, I want to see kubectl get svc. Anything, whatever you want, so we can get it. So anything, whatever you want, so we can get it. So whatever you want, we can get it. This is very important. So daily we are using same commands only. So what is the command? Kubectl get resource name. So pod is one resource, right? I want to see only parts. Kubectl get parts. Do we have any parts? No. Suppose same way if you want to see nodes. Kubectl get. Kubectl get. I want to see nodes. See here node. So kubectl type error, right? Kubectl get nodes. Now we can see how many nodes, worker nodes, master nodes, and all. So now this is the mini cube, right? We can see only one. It is act like both master and worker node itself. Okay. Now, so yesterday, right, there is a many basic Kubernetes resources available. So what are those resources? Right, what are those resources? That is the pod. That is the pod also one resource, then one object. Pod also one resource, one object. And so next, last class we discussed, right, Kubernetes basic objects. Kubernetes. So now we are going to discuss daily this one and only. So what is this? Kubernetes basic resources or basic objects. Okay, objects. Now pod. So now pod. Already you know pod. Now deployment. Now service object. Now replication. Replication replication controller and replication set repli replication set stateful stateful set stateful set stateful set object daemon set object config map secrets. So these are the some of basic Kubernetes objects, and with the help of we are going to set up your entire infrastructure and all. So your entire AWS cluster. So this is the pod and the service object, deployment object, replication set, replication controller, namespaces, and so stateful set object and demand set object, config map, secrets. So like this there is many resource available, secret secret, and so namespace. This is the namespace. So these are the some of basic already last class we seen, right? Now last class also we created one resource. What resource we created? Which resource we created? Already we created one resource, right? Pod. How to create also pod and all. How to create also pod and all. Now if you see here, now if you see here, so now if you see here, these are the some of basic Kubernetes objects or basic Kubernetes resources. So sometimes we are calling resources or objects, both are same only, don't confuse here. See here, this is the pod, replication controller, replica set, daemon set, deployment, service, volume, job. So these are the some of basic Kubernetes resources. And yesterday last class we seen so how to create. So what is the pod? How to create pod and all. How to create pod and all. Now clear, guys? So what is pod? Pod is nothing but this is the smallest building block or basic unit of scheduling in Kubernetes. Now, so in Kubernetes cluster, pod represents running process. Inside the pod only a container is running. Your application is running. So your application is running. Now if you come to here, so now if you come to here, so this is the pod, right? So this is the pod. So this is the pod. So inside pod, we are going to create one container. This is the pod. So this is the pod. Don't confuse here. In Docker, we are creating container, right? So this is the pod. Okay. So this is the pod. So this is the pod. Okay. Inside pod, we have container. Now got it. So inside pod, we have container. This is a container. Whether we can create single container or whether we can create multiple containers. This is the container. So in this container, your app is running, your application is running. I hope you got it right. In this only your application is running. Anyone any doubt here? So anyone any doubt? This is very important. This is the so already you know. So this is your application is running. So inside the container only. So now this is the pod, inside pod container, inside container your application is running. Now every pod has unique IP address. Already you know, right? Every pod has unique IP address. So every pod is unique IP address. If you observe here, see here, inside pod you can have one or more containers. And so in closer Kubernetes running process, pod is group of one or more containers which will, and so every pod has unique IP address within the cluster. So every pod has one IP address. Don't confuse here. So every pod has one IP address, and already you know, right? Q proxy. So that is a network. Everything taken care by Kubernetes API. You don't worry. You don't worry. So now if you want to access this application, now this is the application inside the container. This container inside the pod. But every pod has unique IP address. But if you see here, every container with this application, every container we are giving one IP address, right? In Docker also we are giving some -d, -p. Are you remember or not? Docker. We are giving one command.
Yeah.
Here we are giving -d detached -p, and we are giving some 8080 and colon. I am giving 8080. So anyone, what is this left side? What is this right side? You know, right? Same concept here also. Don't confuse here. So this is the
Host port,
pod. One is host port,
host port and container port.
container port number, and same way. So in this pod,
Container port.
container
Yeah.
port, one is host port, right? and this is the pod. The pod has unique IP address. Every pod has unique IP address. Every pod has some resources, some network, some resources, some space. So these containers are using only this existing pod information, pod resources and all. Now, if you want to access this container, so how we are accessing, guys, in Docker? I want to access this container. I want to access this application. So we are using some, if you want to access outside, we are using some IP, right? Local host or something IP of machine, correct? And we are using port number, correct? Yes or no? Or directly we can access. We are using port number, right? For example, we
Yeah.
created Tomcat container in Docker. So in the Tomcat container, my application is running.
Yes.
How can you access your application in a browser? We are using with the help of localhost or with the help of IP address. We are giving port number, host port number. We are accessing. But if you come to Kubernetes, and so last class we created, right? Let me open this one. So Notepad dir. So cd space Kubernetes. Okay, and dir. So this is the last class we created one pod, right? Test pod. Notepad test pod. Notepad test pod. So this is the this is the last class we created, right? This one or other one? Maybe not this one, different one, right? So dir, let me open that one. dir, dir, uh, or else I will open via, maybe I deleted that one. I will show you that one. Now open Visual Studio, open Visual Studio. If you go to here, this is the pod. If you give pod, if you give pod, Kubernetes pod and all, so it will give this basic information. See here, API version, and this is the resource, API version. This is the resource v1, kind equal to which resource object, which Kubernetes object you want to create. See here, pod is a collection of containers. What is the pod? Pod is nothing but a collection of containers that can run on a host. This resource is created by clients and so scheduled into the host machine. And what is metadata? So data about, see, I want to give some information, standard object metadata. So I want to give some name to this part. And what is this name? Key end. This is name must be unique name. What is the label? Map of string key and values that can be used to organize and categorize this match selector of the replication controller. Okay, I will explain. Next, what is the specification? In pod spec is a description of your pod information. Under the spec, this is a specification of the desired behavior of the pod. This is the pod information. This is the container information. See containers. What is the container name? This is our container name, my app, name of the container. And what is the image name? Container image name. And this is the limits. You don't know, right? Leave it and we'll see. And this is the port number. See here, list of port to be exposed from the container. So for every container, we are giving some port number, right? So this is the container port number. Which port number you want to give? Now here I am going to use pod kind and so name equal to my app, label equal to my app, and containers. Here I am going to use my container or Tomcat container, whatever you want. Tomcat, Tomcat so container. And what is the image? Which image, guys? Already these images available in Docker Hub. If we have our own image, we can use. So for example, this is my image name. So maven hyphen web hyphen application application colon 01. So this is coming from where, guys? This image it is picked from where?
Habu.taka.com.
Adbad out. Next resource and all. If you want to, we can keep it or leave it. Right now we don't know, right? So now that is the okay. Now see here. Now see here. This is a port. What is this list of port to be exposed? Ports and hyphen container port and port number. What is the default port number for Tomcat server? What is the port number? General and Docker we are mentioning, right? 8080. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir.
while creating container in Docker, we are giving this is a command. So this is a command. Same how we are creating. So this is a container, right? So how we are creating? So this is the admin. Okay. Now where is this? If you go to here, how to create? So Docker. What is the command? How to create container Docker? This is the command,
Docker,
right?
Docker run,
Mm,
hyphen,
Docker.
hyphen,
Tell me that
run,
command.
Docker
Docker
run,
run
hyphen, hyphen name,
name container name. Okay,
container,
test.
hyphen D, hyphen T,
Detached mode, port
port
mapping, and we are
80,
giving this is the host port number, container
and
port number, and
Jenkins or
image
image,
name colon tag name.
tag name.
This is the syntax. Same way, if we come to Kubernetes, same syntax only. See here, but here writing right YML format. This is the resource type, API version, and kind equal to which resource you want, and metadata. This is the some basic information. And so this is the name. We are giving some name. This is your pod name. This is your pod name, and spec. This is the syntax. Under spec containers. So what is the container name? I given Tomcat. And what is the image name? Image colon your image name, and ports hyphen container port. What is your port number? This is syntax. So copy this one, and go to your click create a notepad, for example, and I am giving so pod pod1 dot yml or yaml. So if you give, just copy and paste it here. Copy and paste it here. Now see here. Anyone any doubt, guys, here? What is API version? What is kind? This is a resource, and metadata. I given some name. Labels. I given one name. Spec containers. This is the container name, and this is the image name. Ports container port number. That's it. Container port number. I hope you got it right. So anyone any doubt here? Very very important. So if you understand this basic syntax, so remaining and all same only. Just I am going to update one or two lines only. I am not going to change everything. Okay, clear? What Kishore? Clear? Tinagar. So
Yes,
this is
sir.
the same. Now how to create? Now your manifest, your configuration file is ready. Now how to run this file, guys? What is the command? Cube ctl apply
File name,
hyphen m
file,
file name. What is the
file,
file name? Pod
pod
1 dot
one,
yml. What is this?
no option.
File is available or not? Dir pod 1 already is there, right? Zero content. It is not saved. Let me copy notepad space pod 1 dot yml. Okay. So just paste it. I'll save. Okay. Close it. So save it. Close it. Okay. Now coming to here. Hmm. Now how to run it? How to create? Clear CLS
Cube
kubectl. Same command. Every day we are using same.
apply,
Apply hyphen f
hyphen F,
pod
file
1
one dot
yml. Now see here, pod was created. Now see here, pod was created. Now see here, pod was created. Srinath garu, admin all is keep on reconnecting. Is there any problem? Okay. Now how to see my resources, guys? Parts. How to see my all parts? Cube CTL
CTL
get. So get is
get
nothing
pod.
but to get information about your resource. Which resource information, guys? Pod. Cube CTL get pods. So now see here, pod is running or not? This is my pod name. What is my pod name I given, guys? What is the pod name I given? See here, my app. This is my pod name. This is the kind. This is the version. This is the container name. This is the image name. This is the container port number. That's it.
Sir, one doubt, sir.
Mm,
Here.
mm.
So, what is this screen, sir? Which screen we are writing that code?
Screen,
Hmm.
this one.
No, not this one, sir. Before the.
Ida.
Ah,
This Visual Studio. VS Code వేసుకోవాలి మీరు. VS Code. Just go to
okay.
browser. This is the editor.
Okay.
notepad also we can write it, but if you go to here, so go to download visual vs code. This is a very simple editor for windows. Download
Okay.
this one, and see
Okay, sir.
here, visual studio code for mac os, linux, windows. This is the one editor like eclipse.
Okay.
So if
Okay,
you
sir.
want to, we can write whatever notepad, right? So notepad లో manual గా రాసాం అనుకో, so maybe there is some mistakes, right?
Yes.
So here also we can write it. If you want to write, we can see here API version. I can write like this, API version v1, and so kind equal to pod, correct? And
Yes, sir.
metadata, next name colon my app, next labels colon name equal to my app, I given same name, next spec. So what is this? This is the spec. Next containers, correct? So we can write this. So if you want to, we can write, but maybe there is some mistakes. We are getting some errors, right? So that is the reason here. These people nowadays we are. This is editor. I am using a Visual Studio Editor. Visual Studio Editor. If you go here, so this is already available. Just I am opening it. That's it. See here. So API version, meta spec, containers. So everything it is coming. No need to type manually. If you type any object,
Okay.
we need to install first Kubernetes plugin and all. See here, if I type pod, Kubernetes pod. See here, if you click Kubernetes, the syntax and all auto generated. Okay. See here,
Okay, sir.
auto generated. Simply I am going to update what is my image name, what is my port number, and what is my container name. Whatever you want, we can update. That's it. Very simple. Real time mostly we are using notepad or we can use editor. But
So for this,
initial we have
yeah.
to type manually in notepad. We can understand more. Directly దీన్ని వాడేశారనుకో, we cannot remember anything. Everything it is generated. Okay. But practice
Okay, okay.
purpose, if
But
you want to practice, so mostly use notepad only. We can easily understand. So what are the syntax and all, how it will work. Yes, Sudhir?
so got it, sir. So for this, we need to install the plugin also.
Go to here. This is the plugin section, extensions. So here
Okay, sir.
search Kubernetes.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
it is already installed. This is very simple. 1 second, 1 minute work only. So go to in this section. Once VS Code is installed, go to this
Okay.
section, extensions, search here Kubernetes, and just click on install. It will come like this. For example,
Okay. Okay.
YML. Already these are installed. For example, you want to install something, Kubernetes. Kubernetes. See there be, for example, many versions available Kubernetes kind. See, it will show like this, install. Just click on install, that's it. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Once
Got
that
it,
is
sir.
installed, next what you need to do, we need to create one file. Go to file, new file, and save it. Okay. Save it. If you give means it is asking a file name, and a double quotation, give any one file name, and for example, Sudhi, like this. Okay. Dot YML. Hmm? So now if you type control space bar, so everything it is coming. See here.
Yes, sir.
Okay, these all are the I install one plugin, right? Now by
Yes, sir.
default, all basic Kubernetes resources are available here. No need to remember all these things. For example, I need to deployment. If you select deployment, see here, deployment manifest file, everything it is coming. Just we are going to update only based on your requirement. No need to update all fields. Only port number and image name. If you want to, we can update all these things. I hope you got it right.
Got it, sir. Got it,
This
sir.
is very simple. But initial don't use this one. We cannot remember all these ones. So for if you want to know
Okay.
more, first try to manually notepad. And so if you are getting still we are facing errors, and now go for this one. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay. సో మీరు స్టార్టింగ్ నుంచి ఇదే యూస్ చేసినారు అనుకో, వీ కెనాట్ రిమెంబర్ ఆల్ దిస్ ట్యాగ్స్, హౌ టు రైట్, వాట్ ఈస్ ద సింటాక్స్, హౌ వై, వాట్ ఈస్ వీ నీడ్ టు, దిస్ ఈస్ నేమింగ్ కన్వెన్షన్, హౌ మచ్ స్పేస్ వీ వాంట్ టు గివ్ ఈచ్ లైన్, వీ కెనాట్ రిమెంబర్ ఎవ్రీథింగ్, ఇట్ ఈస్ జనరేటెడ్ హియర్. Don't copy and paste it. First initial try to type manually in notepad and copy and paste it. I execute your resource. If you get any errors, still we are not facing any issues, that time come here and generate and copy and paste and modify it. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Now this is very simple only. And so now see here. Now this is a name, right? This is a pod name. Now this is a pod name. Now if you want to know more about, so there is a one command. So if you want to see more on this kubectl describe. What is this? Kubectl describe one command. So now this is a pod. Pod is created. It is running. And so I want to know some more on this space hyphen o wide. Now we can see few more columns. See here, age. What is the IP of this pod? 10.1.0.47. Already know. Every pod has one unique IP address. I hope you got it right. Every pod has one unique IP address. Now see here, unique IP address. Clear, guys? This is a
Yes,
unique
sir.
pod. Suppose I want to know more about this pod. This is a command. Very, very important. kubectl describe command. What is the command name? Describe. kubectl describe pod. And what is your pod name, guys? Here, pod name.
Pod one dot ml.
No, no, no. Here.
Sorry, my app.
My app.
Maya.
My app. That is your resource name. This is your pod name. My app. Now see here. Now we have to practice these things. See here. Now we can get more on this. Now what is this pod? How it will work? Now see here. So this is my name, pod name, and namespace is default. We don't know, leave it. This is the service account default, leave it. Now see here labels I given name equal to my app and status. Your pod is running or not? Your pod is running. And what is the IP
Running,
of
sir.
your pod? 10.0.1.0.47. And this is your container ID. What is the container name, guys? I given one name, right? Here, I given one name. What is that name?
Maya.
Tomcat. Correct.
Um,
See here, Tomcat. This is the container ID, and this is the image name. This is my own image, and this is the image ID. And what is the port number? 8080, and state equal to run. Now see here. Now mount point. Leave it this and all. You don't know. Leave it. And conditions project. And if you go to here, events and type successfully assigned default my app to Docker desktop. And so container image. This already present in our machine and create container tomcat. Started container tomcat. Now got it? Anyone any doubt here? This is if you see last section, most of the case we are getting errors here only. Now let me see one more pod I am going to create. So what is this? Notepad dar. What is my pod one, right? Notepad pod one dot yml. Okay. So this is my pod information. Copy this. And so I am giving one more notepad pod pod2 dot yml. Just paste it. Already same. But here I am going to give some wrong information. Unfortunately, here I am going to give tag number. I am given 4. Okay. So image. So this is tag number. Control S. Close it. Hmm. Now I given wrong tag number. Now try to understand what is happening. Now how to run this? kubectl apply hyphen f. What is your file name? pod2.yml. Now pod was created. Now check the status. kubectl get pods. kubectl get pods. kubectl get pods. Now see here. If we see here, error image full. What is the problem here? Error image full. Now, how to track? What is the problem? I want to know. 8 seconds ago, and so age 10 seconds, and ready to. So it is one, and still it is not created. This is my pod name, and so there is a status is in interview also they are asking. So what type of errors we are getting while creating resources and all. Now we know one error. What is this error? Error image pullback. Now I want to know full information. So exactly what's the problem? Now how to see, how to get this information? Tell me. Cube CTL describe pod. What is the pod name, guys? My app. Now if you come to here last section, see here. Now, so backup pulling image, Marconda Maven web application, image 4, error, image pull back off, image pull back off, image pull back off, pulling image tag, fail to pull this image, and see here unknown description, daemon manifest file, that is 4 not found, manifest unknown, manifest known. So error image pull and backup restarting failed container. So we are unable to create the container. What is the problem, guys? Here now we got it right. What is the problem?
For
Failure
is
to
not
pull
there.
that image. We are unable to pull that particular tag version image. We are giving 4, right? So I don't have that 4. So actually if you go my dockerhub.com, I don't have 4 tag number. See here hub.docker.com. So if you go here, if you want to see that image is whether available or not, so search this image name maven application. So this is the maven web application, not this one. So maven, sorry, this is my full path. Maven web application. This is my full path. Now if you go tag section, so here we can see what is the tag. Do we have any tag number 4, guys? 2 years ago, this is I uploaded. I pushed this image 2 years ago. So do we have any version? What is the tag number here I have?
One.
Only we have to give 1. But here I given, what is the tag number I given?
Four.
4. So
Four.
that is the error. Now remember one error, you got it. So error image pull. So image pull back off. What is this meaning? So there is a image problem. What is the problem? We are unable to pull the image. We are unable to pull the image from Docker Hub or any private repository. So this is the one error. Interview also most of the people they are asking. Suppose I given wrong pod name, wrong that is image name. What is the error? Image pull back off. Image pull back off or error image pull. We are unable to pull that image. Clear? Now let me update. Now see here, notepad. Like this, if you practice, we can easily understand. Notepad. What is the file name, guys? Pod 2, right? Correct. Now come here. Now change this. What is this for tag number? 1. Now got it. Control S, save, close it. Now, now run it. Now how to run it? Same command. kubectl, kubectl, apply -f, -f, pod2 dot yml. Now see pod is created. Check it. kubectl get pods. Now pod is created or not? Running or not? Earlier we are getting one error message. Now can you see this error message? Now check it. kubectl describe pod. What is the pod name? My app. Now see, where is this? kubectl describe pod my app. First, let me delete. We are seeing both, right? I don't want to see all information. kubectl delete all hyphen all. Okay, I'm going to delete all. Now it is clear. cls. Now run same command. Same command. kubectl pod. Now check it. kubectl describe pod name. Now see here. Now successfully assigned and the Docker desktop and container already present and it is created Tomcat container, started Tomcat container also. Anyone any doubt, guys, here? Clear? Now So now this is the pod is created. So where this pod is running inside the container. This pod, sorry, the container is running inside the pod. Inside the pod. So now if you want to access, if you want to access, if you want to access, so we need here there is one resource here. Docker people they are providing one resource. Now I want to see whether it is working or not. How can I check it, guys? Anyone? So now pod is created. How to access it? kubectl kubectl describe kubectl kubectl describe same, right? Already we given. Let me check it. So now this is everything run and see here where is this? Mm, this is the pod IP. This is the pod IP, and so we have cluster IP rights, right? So kubectl get pods hyphen o wide. Now see here. Now clear. What is this IP? Now go up. It will bit up also. So here we can say 48. What is this? What is this? 48.
Okay.
What is this? 192. This is the node IP. Now see here. This is the IP. Now if you want to access, I want to access my application. So generally, if you want to access your application, and so in Kubernetes people, they are providing one extra resource, service object. So now try to understand. This is concept is very simple only. This is the pod. Now, so this pod has unique IP address. This pod is running one machine only, right? One node machine. Don't confuse. Correct? This is your node. Got it? Just assume this is a node 1. So this is a node 1. So this is a node 1. This is a node 1. This is a node. And in this node, this is a pod. In this pod, this is a container. My application is running. For this container, I have port number and all. Now, how to access this application? So whether it is running or not, I want to access outside the world or I want to access my as of now the container is running inside the inside the node, right? Yes or no? Where your container is running? Pod. Where is pod?
Yeah.
Your node. Very simple. This is your machine worker node. In the worker node, I have a pod. In the pod, I have a container. In the container, my application is running. That's it. Very simple. Here, anyone any doubt?
No.
Okay, this is simple only. If you understand everything, we can understand. Or else very difficult. See, this is a node machine. Not only this node, any worker node. So generally, pods are running worker nodes only. So I created one container. So this is my pod. And the pod container is running. So in this container, this is my application. Now for this application, I assigned some port number also. 8080 container port number assigned. If you see here, here I given some port number, right? See here container port. I given 8080. And here I passed image name and which image you want. Now I want to access this application. So whether it is running or not, I want to see some output. So how to check it? So generally this is there is a three types of services available in Kubernetes. So three types of services. Even if you Google it, there is a cluster IP, node port, external that is load balancer, Kubernetes service object, Kubernetes service object, or else I am coming to here. So here also we mentioned this document. I hope everyone know we have document, right? So if you go to here, there is a one service object. This is the one resource, Kubernetes resource. See here, service is responsible for making your pods discoverable inside your network or exposing them to internet. So see here, this is the cluster. This is the cluster. And see what is the main purpose? Service is responsible for making our pods discoverable inside the network or outside exposing them to internet. Service identifies pods by itself called label selector. So there is three types of services, guys. Very, very important interview purpose. So there is a three types of services available in Kubernetes. Very, very important. Most of the people they are asking. So services, types of services. Okay, 3 types of services in Kubernetes. So the service is the object. What is the resource name? Service. So how many types? 3 types. How many types? 3 types. First one is what is the default one? Cluster IP. Cluster IP. And the second one is node port.
Node port.
And the third one is external. That is simply we are calling load balancer. What is this? These are the
Load balance.
mostly we are using these 3 only. So cluster IP, node port, external IP. So cluster IP, node port, external IP. Now, so this is my pod. I created one pod. Now by default, this is the right. Now if you see here, kubectl, kubectl get pods, right? Now kubectl, where is this cluster IP? We can see scheduler default kubectl kubectl get node hyphen o wide. Now if you see here, is there any internal IP is there? Cluster IP status ready. This is a mini cube, right? Okay. We can see there is a cluster IP. We can see cluster IP. This is a node. So generally this is the cluster IP external node, that is node port and load balancer kubectl get ports hyphen o and wide. Can you see here? Here also it is staying running node equal to desktop only and nominated arrow can say. So now if you see here, so generally this is very very important. Kubernetes service, Kubernetes interval also most of the people they are asking Kubernetes service. Services types. Okay. So now see here, this is the 3 types. How many types guys? 3 types. So generally, so this is the load balancer. First is cluster IP. Cluster means expose the service which is only accessible from the within the cluster. Now if you understand here, this is the master. I hope you know this is the master and these are the worker nodes. So these are the worker nodes. Now everything it is run, and so this is running here, and this is also, this is the one more. Now your parts are running here, correct? Your parts are running here only. Your parts are running here only, and so this is the parts. Here also your pod is running. Now where your pod by default, by default service type is cluster IP. By default service type is cluster IP. So by default service type is cluster IP. Cluster IP. Cluster IP means this is a pod. Your application can access only within this node only. We cannot access outside. Now my pod is running here, and so this pod can accessible only within this node. This is the node 1. Just assume this is the node 1 and this is the node 1. This is the basic points. See here, this is the node 2. Node 2. Now in this pod, my container is running. A container is running, application also running here. Now by default, what is the service type guys? Cluster IP. What is the service type here? Cluster IP. Cluster IP means now your application can access only within this node only. Within this node only. We cannot access outside. That is nothing but external world. Nothing but I mean to say browser. Now this is the one pod. In this pod container, my application is running. By default, your application can access where guys? Only within the class, within the node or outside the node. By default, we can access our application within the node only. అర్థమవుతుందా? Now got it? Sudhir,
Yeah.
clear?
Yes, sir.
Now by
Yes, sir.
default, what is the service type guys? Cluster IP. So this is your cluster worker nodes. Okay. So by default, service type is cluster IP. What is this meaning? Means this application we can access only within the node. We cannot access outside. I mean to, for example, I want to call this application via browser. Anyone can access my application. I want to, I want to access, from browser. So can I access from browser? No, we cannot access. Now this is the some basic points. First you need to understand. See here, expose service which is only accessible from within the cluster. That is within the node only. Next, node port. Node port is nothing but, see here, expose a service via static port on each node IP. See here, expose service via static port number and each node IP. With the help of node IP, we can access anywhere, any worker node. Expose the service via cloud provider. That is nothing but load balancer. That is the load balancer. So that case we can use, so this one. This is very, very important. So this is the architecture, how it will work. In interview also, most of the people they are asking also how many types of services. So now tell me how many types of services, guys. So there is the three types of services: cluster IP, node port, load balancer, and external name also. So mostly we are expressing only these three. So first one is cluster IP. What is the first one is cluster IP. Cluster IP means this is the cluster IP and the traffic. It will go to proxy. This is the service object and we can get your parts. And if you come to node port, see here, this is the service object. These are the parts and we can get any VM machines. See here how it will work. This is now there is a load balancer. You know, right? To send a load balancer it will interact with the service interact with the pods, and pod directly connect to the particular application. So this is the ingress like this. See here, we are using action traffic ingress. You don't know, right? Ingress. I will explain later. So these are the three types. For the time being, just remember how many types of, mostly three. And this is external name also. Mostly won't use. Mostly we are using cluster IP, node port, and load balancer. So by default, what is the service type, guys? By default, what is the service type?
Cluster IP.
Cluster IP. Cluster IP means we can access your application within the cluster only. We cannot access your application outside the cluster. Blindly remember, we can access by default cluster IP. Now your application can access only within the cluster. We cannot access outside. Within the cluster, we cannot access outside. Now let me check it. If you want, we can check it. Curl. See, 1 second. See, URL curl http colon slash slash 10 dot 1 dot 0 dot 48. And also, what is the port number, guys? Here, check this container port number. What we given? Hmm? Where is that port number? 8080, right? Failure to connect. What is that? Where is that information? Control C, CLS, kubectl get ports. Okay, it is running kubectl hyphen o wide. So this is IP, okay. And so right now we don't have any external and all. So now let me create one more object, service object. So service object also same like one resource. So now if you go here, I am writing one service object. I want to access my application external. Right now this is a mini cube, right? Internal only we can access. By default it is a cluster IP. Now I want to access my application outside via browser. Outside is nothing but via browser. That's it. Via browser. Now if you see here, right now I don't have any service object. Right now I don't have any service object. How to see service object, guys? Kubectl get svc. or we can use full name is services. Now see here, kubectl get services. This is also one Kubernetes resource. Pod also one Kubernetes resource. This is also one Kubernetes object. Pod also one Kubernetes object. Now see here, this is the default service. This is the default service. Kubernetes cluster IP. Now see here, what is the default type is guys? Cluster IP. What is the default type? Service type, cluster IP. Now I want to create one service for access my application. For access my application. So if you want to access our application, and we need to create our service object. If you want to create any service object, we need to follow this is same syntax only. And if you use here, see here, this is the service. This is the service object. Kubernetes. Okay. So pod, right? Also go to here. Service. CRVIC. See here, Kubernetes service. So this is the syntax. What is this syntax? API version v1. So how to get so my service version yesterday I shown, right? kubectl kubectl API hyphen resources sources API kubectl type, right? kubectl kubectl API resources. Now, so here there is one resource type. What is the resource type? Service. What service object? What is the API version? v1. Now we can observe here somewhere. Service here also.
Top, sir. Top. Yes, sir. Top.
Top
Services.
first one.
mm,
Yeah.
Services. This is the object name.
V1.
And what is the API
Yes.
version? v1. That's it. See here
V1.
v1. And so what is the kind? So previous నేను ఏం చేశాను
Service.
పార్ట్ అని ఇచ్చాను. Now what is the
Pod.
kind?
Yeah.
Service object.
Service.
And
Yeah.
metadata. We can give any name, guys. And this is a spec. Spec means now this is the extra here we can see selector, and this is the port. What is the port? Service port. By default service port is 80. And what is the target
Service
port?
port and
What is the
container port
target
must
port?
be. Yeah.
See here. So now this is the up to here same only API version v1 service metadata we can give any name. Now these are the extra spec. Now selector. So now here we need to try to understand. For example, I have many applications, guys. Here I created many containers. Many pods are running here. For every pod, different application. Which application you want to access, guys? Now try to understand. Already here I shown, right? If you see here. So this is the one pod. This is the one pod. This is the one pod. Okay. Whatever it may be. Already we seen, right? One pod. Now, so in this pod, one application is running. In this pod, one application is running. In this pod, one application is running. Now I created one service object. Now, which application you want to access? Here I have three. Okay. For example, we are the DevOps students, right? Now I want to call one person. How can I call, guys? నేను ఒకరిని కాల్ చేయాలి, పిలవాలి వాళ్ళని. ఎలా కాల్ చేస్తారు? We have one name, right? Identity.
By using names.
Label. By using name, by using label. So for that only we are using there is a selector app equal to name, app equal to name. Okay, app equal to name. First I am going to create a pod. See here, first I am going to create pod. This is a pod already, you know, and the same thing, just try to understand. So this is slash, so this is a slash, and so maven hyphen web hyphen application colon 1. Now remove this one. You don't want right now. I will explain later. Confusion. Okay. That's it. Now container. What is the port number? 8080. That's it. Now use three hyphens. Same file. I want to add also one more file also. One more resource. Now use three hyphens. And this is the end of your YML file. Here this is the start of YML file. This is the end of your YML file. I need one more resource, right? What is the resource, guys? Service. What is this? Service, right? Service account, object name, service, where it gone? Service, kind equal to service. Now, if we go here, now kind equal to service, and so this is same information up to here, service name, or else already we created one more here, right? Let me copy, don't confuse here. Control Y, this is a pod, right? Control Y, I given, this is my pod. Okay, I am copy this, and so I am pasting notepad. This is your, so now if you see here, if you want to, we can write different objects, or we can include both also. Now already this pod is running. Now I need to service object. Now type service object. Now same name, my app, and here the metadata selector equal to I given my app, and port number. What is the service port number, guys? Default service port number 80, that is HTTP, and target port. This should be matched with the container port number. That's it.
080. Yeah.
080. So now if you observe here, copy this one, and so go to here where I copied. Where is this one? Here, right? Here. Now if you go to here, this is the syntax. This is the syntax. Now here I given label name. Pod, here this is a pod information, right? For this pod, I given one label name. What is the label name, guys? My name, my app. Correct. Now this is the service, and this is the service name. This is service name, my SVC. What is the service name? Service object name, my SVC. And here I given one extra, one property selector app equal to whatever label name you given, same name you have to give here. Now got it? Now same scenario. If you go here, this is a service object. Suppose if you have multiple parts, multiple applications, which application you want to access? With the help of label and selector. Now got it, Srinagar garu? Clear?
Yeah, got it.
Okay, this
Yes,
is
sir.
very important. So if you understand, this is very simple. Now this is the service port, default 80 HTTP, and target port number. This port number should match with the container port number. This is the rule. This port number, target port, match with the container port, and so pod label name match with the service selector name. That's it. This is very important. Remaining story same only. So target port should match with the container port.
మార్కొండ
Hmm.
కీ మార్పు అక్కడ
Hmm.
కీ తేడా ఉంది చూడు ఆ కీ నేము కోలన్ పెట్టావు కదా పేరు కింద కూడా నేమ్ కోలన్ ఉండాలి యాప్ కోలన్ పెట్టున్నావు చూడు
Name app, this
సర్వీస్
is changed. Okay, sorry, this is wrong. Same name.
బోత్ మస్ట్
Both. Here whatever, or if you give your app, you need to give app, or if you give whatever you want, that is your wish. Suppose it app, right? We have to give here also app. That's it. Clear, Sudhir? Both are same. Any name, that is your wish. Now here we given a name, right? Here also we need to give name. Okay, and so this is the service name, my SVC. Now anyway, this object already available, this resource already created, and let me copy this one and create a service object, create a service resource. Okay, so clear CLS, notepad, here I'm giving svc1 dot yml or yaml, and copy and paste it. Now copy and paste it. Now see here, I copy and paste it. Now control S, save. Before running, let me check it. Do we have any service kubectl? get svc, or we can use services. This is the full name. If you want to shortcut name, kubectl get svc. That's it. Now this is the default service. Kubernetes people, they given default service. Now I want to run my service, kubectl. Let me run my file, kubectl apply, same concept, -f. What is the file name, guys? My service. Yes, clear. అర్థమవుతుందా? Clear. Now this is kubectl apply -f or file name.
Yes, sir.
Now service was created. Now check it. How to see services? Kubectl get svc.
Service.
Now see here. Can you see my svc? This is my service name. What is the default type, guys?
Cluster IP.
Cluster IP. What is
Correct.
the cluster IP address? This is. And what is the port
12.1.
number? 80 TCP. Service. This is the service port number default.
Yeah.
Now got it. Now what default service type is cluster IP. Now this application, my application can access only within the cluster. We cannot access outside the cluster. If you want to access within the cluster, we can check like this: cur curl http colon / and this IP address. Copied or not? And also port number, right? Something missing. Colon. Why it is not curl IP only, right? Wait, it will take time or not. Come on, come on. Okay, now we see all these things. Now check it, this describe whether it is properly configured or not. So kubectl describe uh, kubectl get svc, and I want to see kubectl describe and svc, my service name. What is my service name? My svc.
Yes, yes.
Now see here. Now we can see what is the namespace limit, what is the default type equal to cluster IP, and what is the IP of this is node IP, this is the endpoint, this is the pod IP, this is the pod IP, and 8080. So this is the port number. So everything we can see. This is the endpoint. See here endpoint. So I have only one pod, and so this is the endpoint IP. This is the pod IP. This is the cluster IP. This is the cluster IP. Now this is the type equal to cluster IP. Now I want to access my application outside via browser, right? Now let me change something. See here, kubectl. We are notepad. I'm going to update notepad. Next class I will show you more. What is this? SVC wine in. Now here I am not mentioning anything. By default it is coming cluster IP. Now I want to access my application outside. So there is a one property, guys. So what is the type? Type colon. I am using node port or load balancer. Load. This is the mini cube, right? LANCER load balancer. That's it. I am not going to change anything. Extra added one property. If you are not mentioning anything, what is the default service type? Suppose if you are not added anything, type equal to. If you are not
Node
mentioning
port.
anything, default service type cluster
Node
IP.
port.
What is the default service type? Cluster IP. Just now we
Just
saw, right? ఇప్పుడు నేనేం మెన్షన్
yeah,
చేయలేదు
yeah.
ఎర్లియర్. వాట్ ఈస్ ద టైప్?
Okay. Mm.
Cluster
Yes.
IP. If you are not mentioning anything, what is the
Okay.
default service type? Cluster
Default
IP.
cluster IP.
Now I
Okay.
want to access my application via browser. I want to access my application outside the world. Okay. Now I given updated. Now check this. Again run it. kubectl apply kubectl apply -f svc. So configure, earlier created, now configure. Already service object is available. Now I updated my service. Now see here message configure. Now check the same command. kubectl describe my SVC. Now see here what is the type, guys. Now what is the type?
Load
Load
balancer.
balancer.
Load
Now
the
remaining things are same
Load
only.
balancer.
Now if you see here, if you
Yeah.
use load balancer or if you use node port, automatically it is added endpoint also, node port also. See here, what is the node port
It's
number?
fifty
30183.
thousand one eighty.
This number it is coming from, so you know, right, 32,000 to 65,000 in between. Any number dynamically it is coming. I hope already Docker also, you know, sir explained. Okay, same thing. Now take it kubectl get pods. Now I hope you, sorry, kubectl get pods. This is okay. And kubectl get svc. Now this is our XP. See, now what is it? Earlier we can see load balance, sorry, cluster IP. Now what is that changed, guys? Load balancer. And what is the cluster IP? And what is the external IP? External IP. Earlier it is showing none. Now we can see local host. Now we can see
Local
local
host.
host. Now I
local
can
host.
access. Now this is the load balancer. This is the type equal to load balancer. I can access my application from via browser outside the world. And what is this? Local host. Now this is a mini cube, right? My everything running my local. Now copy this local host, copy this local host and go to browser and just paste it. That's it. Now see here, this is a local host, right? My, what is my application? This is nginx is running. In this I added nginx or my application, this pod.
Imagine if I do.
Colon, colon, 30. What is the port number? Port number 30183. 30183. Where is my term? This is I created nginx or my application?
My application, I think.
Nginx or my application?
My application.
Markonda only, right? But why it is calling? It is running actually. This one it is running. We are calling nginx application. We are getting internally it is running nginx also. Let me delete all. We'll see how to delete all resources. kubectl delete all
Hyphen,
hyphen all.
hyphen.
Now everything clear. Now we can easily understand. Now nothing is running TLS, and so kubectl first, yeah, dir. I run this one or this one. My application I
Pod one.
configure where
Pod one.
pod one. Okay,
Pod one.
let me check it.
Pod
Notepad,
one.
notepad pod one dot yml. So this is correct. Let me run first this one. Cube or else confuse, right? Kubectl apply hyphen f pod 1 yml. Okay, and same way service. So kubectl apply hyphen f. What is my file name? svc1 dot yml. Now kubectl get all. Now we can see all. Now this is the pod running and this is the service also running, and this is the local host. Now coming to here, close this all these things. Local host, local host, no need to give anything. And this is wondering, now see here, now it is coming or not?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Come on.
now what is my
Contact.
application context path? Maven hyphen web hyphen application. This is my context path of my application. Now see here whether we can able to access your application or not. Now suppose if I am giving type equal to cluster IP, can you access your application via browser? Anyone?
No.
No. See, let me change.
No.
Vi notepad, VSVC. Now I am going a type equal to, I am giving cluster IP. Manual also we can use cluster IP. Okay, that's it. Now delete the service. How to delete this service, particular service, or we can update also. Anyway, I'm going to update kubectl update configure. Now check this kubectl get all. Kubectl get all. Now what is the service I given? Cluster IP. Now try to
Cluster
access
right.
your application whether it is working or not. See here, we cannot access outside the world. Only within the cluster we can access, but we cannot access your application outside. I hope you got it right.
Yeah.
Okay, this
Yes,
is
sir.
very important. So there is three types of services. What are those services? Mostly we are calling there is external. Mostly this is load balancer, and some we are calling external also separately. But mostly cluster IP, node port, load balancer. Cluster
Load
IP,
balancer.
node port, load balancer. Cluster IP means we can access only within the cluster. Cluster IP means we can access only within the cluster. We cannot access outside. So node port means we can access from via browser also. Load balancer means we can configure ingress and multiple applications with the help of this. If we have multiple application, multiple services, so that case mostly we are using load balancer. But anyway, here we are using Minikube, right? So we need to use a load balancer only. We need to use a load balancer, and internally it is nothing but a reverse proxy. And internally it is connecting with already I shown the diagram, right? Kubernetes services. So here this service how it will work. Same concept. Now I use a load balancer, right? Now I am using load balancer. Now how it will work? External traffic, see, load balancer and the services, and type equal to load balancer, and load balancer it will go to particular service, and it is finding particular pod, and we are accessing particular application. So these are the mostly very important question. What are the types of services? Cluster IP, node port, load balancer. This is the external name. Okay, mostly we want to use, mostly we are using this one or this one in real time. Real time 99% we are using a load balancer. In real time mostly we are using load balancer only. Okay, expose the services via cloud provider load balancer. If you are using any cloud, AWS or GCP and all, so that case mostly we are using load balancers. Okay. So anyway, next class also we'll see, and the remaining things how it will work and all I will show you. Now I hope you got some idea, right? Clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, clear.
So that's it from my side today, and the next class